guys, and welcome back to my cowboy reading vlog. So if you didn't have a chance to watch part 1 where you can see all the cowboy books that I bought as well as the one that I decided to pick up and finish first, definitely go give that a watch. So I ended off the last video with a little teaser. So the other 2 books that I bought were both by Elsie Silver, which I'll picture here. And I had a hard time choosing between which one I wanted to go with, but I finally settled on my choice. So I decided that my second book in this cowboy reading vlog is going to be Off to the Races. Off to the Races is our classic enemies to lovers trope. We're following our 2 main characters, Vaughn and Billy. So Vaughn owns a ranch and it's actually his family's legacy. However, recently his grandfather has come under a scandal and he's trying to clear his family's name. At the same time, he's also struggling to train one of his really difficult racehorses, so he hires none other than Billy Black. So Billy Black is still pretty early on in her career, so she's not very well established, but she has a good name around the community, and she's actually coming from the UK in order to come back to the west coast of Canada to really find her roots and settle into her new profession. Basically, we're going to be following them throughout the journey of trying to sort of clear the scandal in the grandfather's name and also seeing how the relationship between these 2 developed. I'm currently already 54 pages into the book. So far, I'm really liking it. I like the fact that the font on the pages is bigger. I don't know if this means that I'm going blind, but it just makes it for a really fun and easy read. I'm also a sucker for the cover, even though I've tried to convince myself I don't judge a book by its cover, but we all do. So I'm just really excited in general. I'll let you guys go, but I'll see you again when I pick up Off to the Races. Yes, I just got to the scene where Billy is finally getting Double Diablo, the racehorse that they've been having problems with, sort of in the racetrack, and there's this asshole from her past that we're now finding out a little bit more of, and it's just so interesting to see how she acts around them, and you can tell that she's had some qualms with them for sure. I was so excited to read this morning that I literally just got up and started reading, so you'll see me in my PJs, but I'm having a good time. So I just finished Off to the Races. Unbeknownst to me, the edition that I have actually has a copy of the prequel novella at the very end. So that's what these last 80 or so pages are for. I'm probably going to get around to reading it later, but I just wanted to say I really enjoyed this book. I think I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars overall for my final rating. The reason why I'm giving it a 3.5 and not a 4 is because I do feel like Vaughn and Billy's relationship was a little fast forwarded, and there was a point where she started referring to him as my boyfriend, and there wasn't really ever a mention of the talk or any discussion around exclusivity. They just started getting intimate, and then all of a sudden they're in a relationship. So that felt a little bit off to me, but overall I did really enjoy their dynamic. Another reason why I'm not giving this a 4 or a 5-star rating is because of the horse racing aspect of it. So I've never actually read a book about horse racing, which is no surprise because I don't read Western romances, but I personally just think it's an immoral thing to engage in. I'm sure there's a lot more on the topic that I haven't done research on, but I do feel a little morally ambiguous reading and enjoying a book that is engaged in the sport that is known for animal cruelty. And I'm not saying that all people who engage in that sport are cruel to animals, but in situations like these, in industries like that, it's something that's always to keep in the back of my mind. But other than that, I really liked it. I think my favorite part was just how much I found myself relating to Billy, sort of her trust issues that she has, and just her entire personality being all sassy and sarcastic. It felt like this book was written about a future version of myself, minus the horse racing. But the fact that she was raised in Toronto and that she wants to move to the West Coast is something that I find myself really aligned with and I really enjoyed. So I'm excited to read the other books in this series, but for now I think I'm going to take a break and move on to my next book. For my next read, I actually have a choice between 3 different books. These first 2 books you've already seen in my first reading vlog, but if you haven't had a chance to go watch that, I highly recommend that you do. This last book that I have to choose is actually one that my friend lent me a copy of. When Done and Dusted by Lila Sage, we're following our 2 main characters, Emmy and Luke. And essentially, Emmy is coming back home to her small hometown after suffering an accident that's going to impact her horse riding. Emmy is returning home. She does reunite with Luke, who is the best friend of her brother, which of course makes sense, so brother's best friend type of trope, and we get to see how their relationship unfolds. Although I am really curious in reading this one, for the purposes of the vlog, I do want to remain true, and I think I'm going to stick with my original choice. So that means that my next book read is going to be Flawless by Elsie Silver. I'm really excited because I just read her debut novel, Off to the Races, so I'm curious to see how her writing has sort of evolved and what this series is going to bring forward. So here's me enjoying Flawless in front of this not so flawless camera angle because there's not a lot of good places that you can film indoors, I am just now finding out. So I decided to take myself to Starbucks this day just to get some editing done, work on my assignment, and also continue reading the book. Again, apologies for the awkwardness. It's still hard for me to film in public without being noticed, but the first Starbucks I went to was full of people, so this was the only one that I could find on short notice that was actually available. Here I had just read about something really funny that our male main lead said, and I couldn't help but laugh in public. And here I got to the point in the book where Rhett, our male main character, is finally admitting to the fact that he really likes Summer and he had just said something really stupid, so you'll see some more giggles from me. I honestly cannot read this stuff in public because clearly I can't contain myself. So I just finished wrapping up some editing and working on my assignment, and I also got through a little bit more of Flawless. So I'm currently on page 155, which is almost halfway through this book, and I will say so far I am enjoying it. I can definitely tell that this is a newer book of Elsie Silver because her first book, Off to the Races, the writing felt a little more juvenile and simple, but here I feel like we have a little bit more of complexity and depth. One thing I will say that I'm not liking about this book is the names, and I feel like it's such a dumb thing to get hung up on, but I know I'm not the only one. I see you Colleen Hoover stands out there. Our main character's name is Summer, and her sister's name is, wait for it, Winter. You heard that right, Summer and Winter. And there's literally a line in the book where she talks about how her dad named them like polar opposite names for some weird reason. It's whatever. I do like her backstory and I'm appreciating it, more depth to the characters, but just wanted to point that out. It's currently a heat wave here where I'm at right now, so I'm about to head home to my AC apartment because I'm literally dying in this car. But I'll catch you when I pick up where I left off. Sometimes the things men say. That's all I'm gonna say. You know, one thing I really like about this book is that at the beginning of the chapters, like regardless of whose perspective it's from, we get to see text messages, usually between Summer's dad and either Rhett or Summer, depending on whose chapter the POV is from. And it's just so funny because Kip, which is Summer's father and Rhett's agent, he treats them both like they're his children. It's kind of cute, especially now that things are getting a little more spicy. It's just funny to see how chill and hip the father is, something I'm not really used to. My phone just fell, but where was I? Oh yeah, basically Kip's like idea or style of parenting is not really what I'm used to, so I'm having a fun time. My god, no. My god, what am I reading? What am I reading? What am I reading? Oh my god. Okay. I'm on page 300 and we just had a confrontation scene between Rhett and some of Summer's family members. I don't want to go into too much spoilers, but let's just say that Summer was involved in a very toxic and low-key abusive relationship that might have been kind of illegal. And yeah, now we're just having a confrontation over it and I am not okay. Oh, what is happening? What is happening? Oh my god. I cannot English right now. I cannot English right now. I need to finish this book. Why are men so dumb? Like, I'm so sorry not to hate on the testosterone part of the species, but also to hate on them. So, as we know, Rhett's a bull rider and he keeps getting injured, and for some reason he keeps going back. I totally get it. You're passionate about something, you want to go back for the thrill. Can we introduce the gym? Can we introduce like high intensive cardio to this man? Like, can we just be like, yo, can you just like hit up hit, bro? Like, hit up hit, bro. Don't jump on a bull and wee all the way till friggin' death, because that's low-key where this man is going. And I see why Summer's all stressed out. Hell, I'm stressed out and this isn't even real. This is too much. This is too much. I need this book to be done. Ooh. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, that was good. That was good. Aw, that's so cute. Wait. I'm not okay. I'm not okay with that. And for God's sakes, there's an epilogue. My God, I can't do this. Elsie Silver, what? I just got goosebumps. There's also a bonus scene, but I don't think my brain has the capacity to read that. There's also a sneak peek of the next book. Okay, number one, I'm not okay. Number two, I need to go buy the rest of the books in this series, because what the actual freak was that? That was actually so good at the end there. What the hell? So I think it's safe to say that this is easily giving like 4.5 out of 5 stars for me. The fact that I immediately want to go to the bookstore right now and get all the other books in this series means I'm mentally not okay, and this book has undone me. Honestly, you can tell that Elsie Silver has come a long way from her first debut novel. Not to shade on it or anything, because I still really liked Off to the Races, and I do want to read the other books in that series. But these characters just had a lot more depth. There was a lot of backstory. I genuinely just want to go read the other books now, and that is a sign that I am emotionally invested, because normally I don't feel that way about series to the point where I'm like, I have to read the next ones now. Like the other books I read in this vlog, I didn't feel the same way. But enough on Flawless. I'll give you a wrap up of all my thoughts as I've been on this journey to become a cowgirl. It is officially wrap up time, and I am very excited to share with you all of my thoughts on all of the cowboy romances that I read in the past week. Just to give a wrap up, I read 3 books for this cowboy reading vlog, 2 of them by the same author, but they're both Canadian, which is really nice to be able to support Canadian authors. The first book that I read, I actually don't have the copy with me. I did lend it to a friend, but I do have book 2 here because I did enjoy book 1 a lot, and I was Holding the Reins by Paisley Hope. So if you just want to gaslight yourself and imagine, or maybe I'll superimpose Holding the Reins cover on top of this the entire time, that's what's going on here. I really like this one. This was a solid 4 out of 5 stars read for me. I like that we're turning back home and trying to settle into your roots again. I think it's a very relatable narrative. I also really appreciate the depth to the story. The intimacy didn't just feel like straight up smut. It did feel like there was a sense of admiration and love, and I really appreciated that. Because it was my first cowboy romance novel, I probably did rate it a little bit higher than I would if I were reading this genre consistently and I would go back to it. But for now, I'm letting it sit at a solid 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I decided to dive right into Off to the Races by Elsie Silver, which is her debut novel. I really like reading debut novels from authors. It's not something I do really intentionally very often, but I think I want to start doing it more, because after I'll show you what I read next, I think it was really nice to sort of see the progression. Off to the Races was a solid 3.5 out of 5 stars for me. It did feel a little bit rushed. Some part of the relationship didn't feel fully fleshed out. I did feel like this was a very head empty, no thoughts type of read. This is one of those books that I would give to someone who has never read romance before and they really just want to get their toes wet in the genre, because there's not a lot to it, but not necessarily in a bad way. If you're looking to read something and simply turn your brain off, I would definitely say read Off to the Races. What I do appreciate, so I know because she wrote this series first, some of the characters that appear in this series appear in the next one that I'm going to be talking about, so I do plan to read this series eventually. And the last book I read, well, you probably saw how giddy I was in the last few minutes of this vlog, just simply finishing it and can't stop gidding and talking about it, is none other than Flawless by Elsie Silver, or also known as book number 1 in the Chestnut Springs series. So this was the first cowboy book that my friend had recommended to me, and she does read a lot in this genre, so I definitely trust her opinion. But honestly, I didn't expect to like it that much. After reading Off to the Races, I did feel a tiny bit underwhelmed, and I didn't really have high expectations going in. I think this is why I so thoroughly enjoyed it. There was a lot more depth, and I know I keep saying that word, but there was just so much more depth to the characters and backstory that it felt like I was reading about real human beings and not simply characters. This was a solid 4.5 out of 5 stars for me. The only reason why I'm not giving it 5 out of 5 stars, there were a couple of scenes and just things in the book that I felt a little bit cringy about, and I feel like when I'm reading a 5-star book, I just know it pretty quickly, and I didn't feel that invested with the book. Overall, from all the series that I've just started in Western romance, Chestnut Springs is definitely the one that I'm most invested in. And will I buy the rest of the books in the Chestnut Springs series? Who knows? Maybe if I do, I'll make another video about it. Overall, that's it for the cowboy reading vlog. I think I can officially say that I do feel like a cowgirl now, and I'm so excited to continue reading in this genre. I do think after I read a couple of more books though, I will need to take a break. There's just a lot of romance in my brain right now, and I can sense that my brain's getting just a little bit tired of the genre. I'm really happy to have unlocked this chapter in my reading life. As someone who has always sort of been standoffish to romance, especially when it comes to smutty books, I feel empowered knowing that I can pick up a book like this on a whim and just simply enjoy it guilt-free. If you guys want to see more content like this, or if you have any recommendations for me based on the books that I read, I would love to hear your thoughts. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!
2 hours later.